Okay. Welcome everyone to CC Live at 2016 World of Concrete. My name is Tom Bagstarian. I'm the managing editor of the Hanley Wood Commercial Construction magazines. And we have here a real treat, one of Concrete Construction Magazine's columnists, Craig Cottongim, who's going to talk a little bit about what he's seeing here at the show and a little bit about his ideas for the column and his background. Craig, tell us a little bit about your experiences with concrete.
Well, for me, it started even before I was born. My dad had his own contracting business when I was born, and so all the dinner table conversation, everything growing up was all about concrete, how to do concrete well, how to interact in the world of construction. And so as I grew up in my late teenage years, started working concrete in the Chicagoland area, and worked in some non-union places, worked in the union, then went on and did some of my own stuff later on,
Okay.
mostly residential stuff, and it's just been you know one of those points in life where you're just influenced from a young age,
Right.
and as a kid you kind of want to be like your dad and do what he did, and a lot of good influences.
Okay. And now you're writing every issue of Concrete Construction Magazine. How did you make that transition to being a columnist and writer? Did you always like it, or how did that come about?
I've always loved reading, and I like to write. And it's going to sound weird, but one night I was just thinking about writing and areas I could pursue. And a contractor that I've been working for in East Tennessee, he subscribes to concrete construction.
Okay.
And so going back and forth to the job sites, I'd be reading concrete construction. And I was just kind of praying about it. And I said, man, what else do I know? What else could I be doing? And I thought, hey, concrete construction, And so I had an idea for a column, and I had no idea where it was going to go. And so I emailed Bill, and I said, hey, I've got this idea. It's about conflict, and I don't know if it's something that would fit. And so he emailed me back. He said, yeah, I think we might be able to use that. If you have another idea, let me know.
Right.
So I turned that in, and I had another idea, and I sent that in. He said, yeah, I kind of like that, if you have another idea in the future. And I just got really busy. Concrete started picking up. I didn't really have time. And he actually emailed me back, and he said, hey, we'd like to do a column and title it Uncommon Sense. If you're interested in moving forward, let's do this. And so off it went.
And the star was born.
Yeah.
Now, some of your favorite columns, I think, deal with the people issues and human resources. Is that an area you think contractors could be doing better at?
Absolutely.
What advice do you have?
Absolutely. I really loved putting together the piece. I think it was titled Concrete is King. And just talking about all the contributions to society and civilization that we make. Everything rests on concrete. You know that. I mean,
Right.
everything is dependent on concrete. I don't care if it's science, aerotechnology, everything. And I found when I did that, it didn't really have the response that I thought it was going to have, where people would be like, oh, wow, man, that's exactly how I feel. But I started doing some pieces on leadership and dealing with that people element. And even tonight, I'll pull up my email and I'll be getting something. Last night I got an email. It's just people just respond. I wish I had heard that sooner, or that's exactly what we're going through, or do you have any advice for us? And actually, it's opened some doors for me to travel and teach contractors on leadership, because people are hungry for it.
Right.
And so some of the advice that I like to give contractors, be available, be there for your people. Don't be afraid to roll up your sleeves. One of the things my dad taught me is you're never too good to push a wheelbarrow.
Right.
Get down there, get out there with the guys. Being accessible, being transparent. Be someone who tries to influence and not be a tyrant. When I got started in concrete, the way you did leadership was you stood up on the overdig and you just barked orders and you cast insults and you used fear and intimidation, and kids today, they're just not going to,
Right.
Seattle, it's going to be $15 minimum wage. kids aren't going to say, oh, let me see, I could flip patties for $15, or I could go out in the cold and the rain and the snow and the heat and get yelled at. No. So kind of have to approach people differently.
So it sounds like then you're saying that's an issue, is getting younger people into the industry.
It is.
How do you think we could do that better?
I've given a lot of thought to that. When I was in high school, we had shop class, and we had VOTEC, and we had co-op. And I know high schools today don't really place emphasis on that. So one of the ways I think that we can improve it, and it may sound strange, and it's going to take a while to get some buy-in on it, contractors and tradesmen have to see concrete as bigger than themselves. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times we'll bring in a young guy and we're going to train him, but then there's that fear, hey, I just invested all this time in that young guy, and now what if he leaves or he goes somewhere else? And I think we've got to come to grips with that and be okay with that, and look at the industry as a whole and what's going to benefit people. I mean, maybe it was a unique time for me, but when I was growing up in concrete, we had guys that loved to mentor and loved to invest time. And man, if they saw someone with potential that was interested in learning, man, they would teach you everything. But there wasn't that fear, oh, you know, this guy's going to leave, he's going to go work for the guy down the street or whatever. And I think we've got to become more comfortable and embrace that, because everywhere you go and everyone you talk to around the country, they're having a hard time recruiting good help and keeping good help.
Right.
And so I think we've got to start making connections with the shop teachers that are still there, start encouraging kids young to be part of what we're doing, because again, it's the best industry that does the most for civilization. I believe that. I'm passionate about that.
Right. In a place like World of Concrete, a lot of emphasis is placed on the materials, the equipment, and technology. But it's the people who make it all work, right? You could get the best equipment for a contracting company, but if you don't have the people who know how to use it and you don't treat those people right, it's all for nothing, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things I tell contractors is, if you build your people, you're going to build your business. You've got to invest in the people. And so we're not out there just to make money. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, that's why I'm there. And there's nothing wrong with making money. It's important, it's good. But if you're not focused on the people who are making your money, helping them develop, help them grow, help them reach their potential, give them opportunities to grow and excel, then you're going to suffer some serious consequences.
Right. This is your first World of Concrete?
I'm embarrassed, yes.
So you've walked around for a couple days now. What do you think? What impresses you most, and what have you been doing with your time here?
Let's see. Well, one of the things that impressed me most was a small family business out in one of the outskirts of the lots, way out there. They're out here trying to break into a market and sell their tool. And you contrast that with some of the big companies here, you know, like Mac, and there's room for everyone here. And so coming in, you know, you expect it's only going to be a certain slice of people who are producing or manufacturing equipment or whatever, and it's just so varied. So that was pretty impressive. I've enjoyed that.
Okay. Is your next column going to be about World of Concrete?
Well, you tell me, what do you think I should do? Should I?
You always come up with great ideas. I don't have to give you any advice. Is there a column that's you remember that's your favorite?
Yeah, I would think I did a 2-part one on leaders being people worth following and leadership development, and it was favorite for me, I guess in part because I got to reflect on probably my formational years, you know, the people who influenced me, and then just the importance of it, and then the feedback. I'm very thankful for the feedback when people take the time who read concrete construction, and then they email me. And some of these guys are in their 60s. You know, I've been retired for 20 years. I wish, you know, I had read stuff like this when I was younger, or you know, guys in their late 20s who are, you know, contractors.
Right.
And just the feedback, you know, to take the time to write and say, hey, I appreciate that.
Well, our readers are very busy from morning to night, 6, 7 days a week. So if they're taking the time to reply to a column, you must have struck a chord. Well, thank you for being with us today. You can read all of Craig's columns at Concrete Construction magazine, concreteconstruction.net, and look for his column in every issue of the magazine. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.